I watched the new Beetlejuice movie and it was kind of disappointing, so I'm taking things into my own hands and making my version of it. The first part was so magical, so dreamlike, and the second part was just a complete opposite. I mean, the beginning of the second part was a complete opposite. Like, it took a lot of my willpower to just not exit the screening of the movie. But I wanted to give it a chance. Some parts of it were really interesting to me and beautiful and fun, but most of it was kind of annoying. I couldn't get it out of my head, all of the criticism that I had for this movie. Instead of keeping it and like obsessing over it, I wanted to put it on paper, rewrite the story, redesign some of the characters, and share it. Let's start from the main issue, the characters and their storyline. In the first movie, we had such incredible characters. We felt like somebody just dropped us in a world where they were all living. They were so full of details and life. It was really incredible. Now, when we meet them again, and some of the characters are new, because of the comparison with the first movie, these characters are just not so well developed. The person that suffered the most in this movie is Lydia Deetz. Lydia, poor Lydia, in the first movie, she was our gothic queen. Queen of fashion, queen of life, queen of art. And now, in this movie, we see her as like this host of a reality show about ghosts. And she has this weird-ass boyfriend, Rory, that is taking advantage of her. No, this is ridiculous. Honestly, ridiculous. Also, her styling, come on. She looked like she's cosplaying Lydia Deetz. I would approach her totally differently. I just didn't see her ending up like this. And I don't think that it's like the most poetic way of showing her. So I think it's kind of unfair. Starting from her storyline, we can correct the whole movie and actually make all of the puzzle pieces come together. The second problematic character in this movie is Dolores. Dolores looks like an undead version of Morticia Addams. So what would I do about her? Let's focus on her appearance. We need to redesign her. She, as you see, has dark hair color, as well as Lydia has dark hair color, as well as Astrid has dark hair color. Having the three main female characters in a movie having dark hair color is visually not so interesting. So we had space for her to have a different hair color. I would change her hair color, I would make her skin more blue, and I would change her outfit just to show a little bit more skin, because I felt like she was suffocating in this dress. I really like this dress, by the way, that they made. I would just make some corrections so it would give the whole feeling of her not being eaten up by it. For her storyline, I'm gonna talk about it more when I correct the whole plotline itself. And then we have Astrid. I think she's a really boring character. I think Astrid has a fiery personality and her visuals weren't showing it. And we needed a little bit more sharpness in her look. That's why I would style her differently. But Astrid herself had like boring hair, boring and almost no makeup. The outfits were cute, but they missed details. So I would take her outfit in general and add like little pins and stuff, like details on her sleeves, so she has more like personality showing. And also I would make her hair shorter so she has a specific hairstyle that will make her again step away from all of the other characters with longer hair and make her more of a eye-catching character. She needed more stylization and she was just like so bland. Overall, the outfits felt like they were all missing accessories, they were all missing some details, they were all made with little amount of time. And I understand why. Like, they had a short time frame for filming and they needed a couple of outfits for each character. So I think they kind of stuck to basics and they tried their best for each character to look unique and cool. But if you would look closely and if you were interested in costumography, you would see that these outfits were missing a soul. Even if the outfits were lacking, I really like to see how they tried to approach it. And I listened to the interview from the designer, and I see what she wanted to do. But I just think that they needed more time to make all of the outfits more detailed. So we start the movie exactly as the first part. We go through the forest and then see their house. And then instead of the spider that we see in the first movie, we will see a silhouette of Lydia standing behind the mock-up of their actual house, which is on the attic. Her father's wife is calling her. She is in the city, but we don't see like this modern vision of a city like we did in the original movie. We see like a dreamy city, and she's calling her to tell her that her father passed away from a surfing accident. A shark ate him. We actually find out that Lydia is living in their old house alone. Her husband died and disappeared on their honeymoon, and she got pregnant with Astrid and was very sad and couldn't just continue living, so she moved back to her old house. And because Astrid reminded her so much of her husband, she needed to send her away to boarding schools, and they're estranged and don't like each other. Lydia now is living in this house like a ghost haunting it. She sits in a vintage car. We are not seeing modern cars. I don't get it. Like, why would you put modern cars in this type of movie? I am erasing it from our movie. Our movie is having only vintage cars because we are keeping up with the aesthetic. She's sitting in the vintage car, going to grab Delia, going to grab Astrid, and they're coming back home to organize a funeral for him. Meanwhile, in the underworld, Beetlejuice is helping other ghosts haunt their humans. He has his employees, which are shrinkers, and this is Bob. Let's take a moment of silence for Bob. Bob is my favorite character. I think Bob is everybody's favorite character. Bob carried the movie. Thank you, Bob. There is also Demon Boy who works for him. And now, while he is working, we see a scene in a storage space where there is a cleaning guy that kind of bumps into some boxes, and these boxes get open and Dolores escapes. Dolores is Beetlejuice's ex-wife. I mean, she was his wife when they were alive. When she was alive, she was a soul-sucking witch, and that's how she collected power. Okay, in the original, she kills him because she's a soul-sucking witch, and he kills her as well. But I would also add to this story that when he kills her, he takes all of her power. That's why he's like supercharged and has like super abilities in the movies, because he took all of her evil power away from her. And that's why she's actually like this crazy ass woman trying to get her revenge on him and actually catch him so she can take all of her power back to her. But he knows that the only way that he can escape her forever and prevent her from doing it if he gets married again. And that's why he wants Lydia to marry him. He has his assistant, Demon Boy, working for him, and he's going to send the Demon Boy to lure Astrid into the underworld so he can make Lydia marry him. He sends Demon Boy to meet Astrid. She thinks he's a normal guy. She doesn't know that he's a ghost. And he kidnaps her and takes her to the underworld. But what we didn't expect is that he doesn't care to help him. He goes rogue and wants to steal her soul. She finds out that her daughter is kidnapped. She knows that the only person that she can call is Beetlejuice. So he makes her sign an agreement to marry him. When they go to the underworld, Delia is a genius. Delia did the ancient Egyptian ritual for her husband with snakes that they told her that the snakes aren't venomous, but they bite her and kill her, and now she's dead and she's in the underworld. And in the underworld, there's like this waiting room, and she protests, doesn't want to wait, and gets in a fight and ends up in the police station. Dolores is like raging mad. She's going through the underworld and killing people, taking their souls so she can get more power. And that's when we get the detective. He is researching the Dolores case and wants to find her and like punish her and stop her because she's killing the dead people in the underworld. The Demon Boy and Astrid are in the underworld, he took her to the soul train so that he can steal her soul and actually go back to the living world and continue like torturing people. In the railway station for the soul train, she actually sees her dad. And when they come to this station, Beetlejuice banishes the demon boy to hell and the dad helps them both escape. When they escape, Beetlejuice gets left over and he actually gets grabbed by the police and ends up in the same jail cell as Delia. So Delia and him make a deal. They make a deal that he helps her find her husband in the underworld and she helps him find Lydia. She is living in Lydia's home and she can haunt her home, and that's why she can take Beetlejuice with her to find Lydia. Astrid, Lydia and her husband go back home. Delia, Charles and Beetlejuice appear there. So Beetlejuice transports them all to an old church. So then the wedding starts. We get the wedding scene with the cake and the green ooze, like whatever stuff going over the cake, and the dramatic scene and them dancing and the whole sequence, which was fun, honestly. Then the police barges in, tries to stop them like and catch Beetlejuice because he actually broke out of prison. But then when they start to arrest him, Dolores bursts in and demands revenge and demands her powers back. Astrid wouldn't care that Dolores would attack Beetlejuice, but Beetlejuice was standing right next to her mother. Astrid had to make her stop, so she releases the worm on Dolores and Dolores is gone. Someone would think maybe that's a very easy escape for Dolores to get rid of her so easily, but I think that's like a part of the ridiculousness of the movie. Beetlejuice is happy, he thinks he's gonna marry Lydia. Then she finds out that she is actually not obliged to marry him because that contract is just for the underworld and not for the real world. And then Lydia banishes Beetlejuice. While he's getting banished, is yelling that he will get his revenge. Hint, 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 there's gonna be a third part of the movie. In the original Beetlejuice, the ending scene, like the whole them traveling and then Astrid getting married and then the baby, oh my god, can we please forget that baby exists? Like, what was that? And then we get the same ending as we did in the first part of Beetlejuice, but just it's Lydia and Astrid floating and dancing in the air while the ghosts are around them and like making them float. And we get this almost creepy, cozy feeling like Beetlejuice should make us feel. Yes, and now this is the ending. I don't know what happened in the case of Beetlejuice. Either way, I was happy that I was still in this world because I really enjoyed this Beetlejuice world, especially the underworld. I would love to see this underworld explored more. I know that a lot of people out there will still really enjoy Beetlejuice as it is. When you look at it, and if you're a person that is really interested in cinematography and costumography in the storyline, I think you will notice these small issues that are kind of annoying. And the reality is, all of these issues that Beetlejuice had were solvable. And because they didn't solve these issues, this movie ended up feeling forgettable. Let me know which version of the movie you prefer and if you actually like the movie. Thank you for spending your time with me and see you in the next one. Bye!